Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. We have a fun show, and it is a show that is fresh because we're talking with Stephanie from Idaho about her trip that she just got back from 24 hours ago as we recorded. She headed out to Disneyland Resort and stayed in the new villas at the Disneyland Hotel for the weekend, and they got so much done. You know, it's the Halloween season, so of course, they went out there for the Oogie Boogie Bash, and they did both parks, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. Their daughter is a cast member down at Walt Disney World, so we open up the show talking about her daughter trying to get out of Florida with Hurricane Milton bearing down on Florida and what her daughter did as a cast member down there as far as the preparations for the Walt Disney World Resort with the hurricane coming in. And we also talk about the newly announced Lightning Lane Premier Pass. And Stephanie's thoughts on that as a big DVC member and a big Disney fan. So we get some current events in here as well. Lots of fun coming your way on today's show. Don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible, so thank you so much for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month, and for that, you get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2576 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. And as always, thanks for kicking off another work week with us here on the show. We're going to have a good time today because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk some Disneyland, a little Disney Cruise Line, and some pretty current Disney topics. So we got to get the show rolling, as they say in the Tiki Room, and we're headed out to a place. You know what? I don't think I've ever been. Well, West Yellowstone. That's in Montana. That's not in Idaho, but I've been close, and I do love potatoes. We're headed out to Idaho with our good friend Stephanie. Stephanie, how are things out in the beautiful West, out in Big Sky Country? What's up?
They are fabulous, Mike. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we were just talking that it's kind of drastically dropping as far as temperatures go. Yesterday it was 80. Today it's 60 with rain, so it's starting to feel like fall.
Man, but it's beautiful. But you know, as somebody who is a huge college football fan, all I think of when I think of Idaho, I just think of blue turf. That's all I think of because I think of Boise State, which is a great football team. That's pretty much what I think.
We moved here almost 20 years ago from Southern California. And when we were telling people, they were excited. They're like, oh, you're going to Boise. That's where the Broncos play.
That's right. You guys might get a Heisman Trophy this year, too. I mean, hey, you got a chance. Just saying.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Running back.
I'll be honest. We're not really college football people. So we support the Broncos because they're our home team. But I don't really follow it.
I'm just saying, have a heck of a season. They might make the college football playoff. Just calling it right now.
We'll have to watch.
Get on that bandwagon while it's hot because it's rolling right now. Anyway, you always have successful seasons out there. But hey, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. And instead of kind of getting into your background, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of current events. So we're going to talk about your Disneyland trip, which actually you just took last weekend from the time we're recording. So just about 24 hours ago. But so real current, heading out to Disneyland, a little Disney Cruise Line from a trip you took to Alaska. But you also talked about, we were talking in the pre-show, that you were helping your daughter get out of Florida during the hurricane, during Milton. So give us the circumstances around that for our audience, just so we can just talk a little current events here as we start the show.
So our daughter's a cast member, and she did the Disney College program for about a year, and she's been there working as a full-time cast member for a couple of years now, and she had her flight scheduled for Friday very early in the morning. And we basically were just watching like everybody else to see what was happening with Milton. But in the back of our mind, thinking, is she going to be able to get out of there? Because she was supposed to meet us in California to go to Disneyland. And she ended up on a later flight that morning and got out of there. But it was touch and go. We weren't quite sure if and when she was going to make it out. It it came down pretty hard, but there was no damage where she lives, so that was good. It could have been a lot worse, but definitely that's something that's been difficult as a parent. Having her live in Florida is watching those hurricanes and worrying about her. I mean, I'm sure she's capable of taking care of herself. We tell her things like, make sure everything's charged, have
Yes.
extra batteries, have extra water. And she's like, Mom, I already did those things.
I feel your pain. I mean, Mallory leaves the house with her phone at 5% constantly. I'm like, seriously,
Yes.
dude, you're sitting here for 6 hours. Just plug the sucker in while you're scrolling through TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a cord 2 feet from you. Just plug it in. It's not our, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally feel your pain because, I have a daughter that's in Chicago. I'm like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, like for real. But I mean, she's still, she's knock on wood, she's making it. They figure it out somehow. So I
They
mean,
do.
for all the parents that are worried that their kids, are moving away to college here soon, they do somehow figure it out.
They do. And I guess when they do, then you did something right. So that's good.
Or in spite of us, they make it. That's what I say because I'm not probably not the greatest influence in the world, but they're just like, oh my gosh, I just will not do what my dad or stepdad did. But no, so. So what did your daughter tell you kind of about the build up to Milton? I mean, what were they telling them kind of as far as like preparations? And I mean, what did she do to kind of be proactive to make sure she was ready to possibly get out?
Well, it was interesting. I was listening this morning, and you were talking to Ricky and Scott about Milton, and I agreed with Scott that it was kind of crazy that it was basically the last minute that they told them that they were going to be closing. It was like they were waiting to see, but on Tuesday they found out that Wednesday parks were going to close early. So she'd be working till about 2 o'clock and then she'd be home, and she'd be home all day on Thursday. I do have to say it is really nice that if you've been scheduled to work as a cast member and they tell you to stay home, they do pay you for that day. I mean, it's the right thing to do, but
Yeah.
it's nice to know that they do that. And you were talking a little bit about the ride out.
Mm-hmm.
She volunteered for the ride out, but they didn't need her this time. But yeah, they're paid to be there. Now, granted, they're on call for the entire time that they're there, but they send them out to the resorts and they're there for entertainment with the guests or just to make sure everything's going okay for the guests. And it is a really nice thing that cast members do and that Disney does for those guests because it's got to be hard when somebody's planned their vacation and then they have a hurricane coming through. You think about the resorts that would be easier to stay at versus ones that would be harder. But it is really nice that they do that for them, I think.
I think that's really that's such an opportunity. Like you said, it's super disappointing for guests, right? Because when you plan that trip a year in advance, 18 months in advance, even, 2 months in advance, whatever it is, in your mind's eye, you picture the beautiful blue sky, and it's shirt sleeves and 70 degrees as you march down Main Street with your family and the background loop and all that. And we know we get there, the weather's never like that. And, there's always a longer line. There's always other circumstances that you don't picture when you're planning the trip for months and months. And you have to
Right.
adapt and adjust. But that's the extreme side of it. All of a sudden you never expect the parks to be closed and you have to be like basically quarantined to a resort because of it's dangerous out there. I mean, there's really bad weather, but also this is an opportunity. We saw this with Milton and we've seen this in the past. It's an opportunity for cast members to really, really shine and Disney to take a bad situation and shine too. And for an example, and we're going to talk about something also current before we get to your trip report here in just a second. But for example, I saw over at like All Star Movies, All Star Sports, they were selling these like little kits where you could make like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like little desserts.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like $10 little kits. You could take back here. It was like a whole loaf of bread, a whole like thing of jelly, and some like chips, like a big family size bag of chips for like $10. You know what I'm saying? Like they weren't trying to gouge you. That was basically like going right at the grocery store. And they're basically just trying to help ease you through the situation. They like board games and card games for like 25% off. So, I always try to tell my kids this when I was a teacher, like you're going to have times where, things are bad, but try to find where can you flip the script, right? Where can you turn this bad situation good? And I think that in these times like that, the cast members, when they make a little girl who might be scared of the unknown of a hurricane that's from Iowa or, Montana, what I'm saying? Like that, or Idaho, they don't know what a hurricane is all about.
Right.
You let them forget that because you play a little card game with them, or you do some kind of, take them up to meet Tigger because they're visiting the resort. They might remember that more than riding Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's a time to shine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you guys have talked about the fact that it's those things that happen on your trip that you don't plan for that are often the most memorable. And obviously, a hurricane would be pretty darn memorable.
I was there during Hurricane Charlie. This dude from Missouri,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, it was wild because we have tornadoes. Dude, they last 10 seconds. That hurricane was just like,
Yeah.
I thought Pep Century was going to blow down for like 12 hours. I was
Right.
like, whoo, that was 20 years ago. And I still can hear that wind. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I still, third floor of the 70s. I thought for sure that 8-track tape was going to be gone when we got up in the morning. I was like, there's no way that thing's still going to be there. It's still there. So let me ask you about one other thing, because you're a big Disney fan. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about this because I've been so busy today, except my wife over fajitas tonight at the Mexican restaurant before we recorded. The Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Everybody's joking. They wanted the Premier Pass to come back as the annual pass to Disneyland and Walt Disney World, which I'm sure you'd be a fan of. You go to both. What do you think about this? Kind of Disney's answer to the Express Pass over at Universal. You kind of get to do one time all the Lightning Lane experiences in one particular theme park for the day, costing about $250 to $400 per person each for that day.
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard about this? Because this just came out this morning as we record.
Yeah, the only person I've talked about is with my husband. Also, we talked about it this morning. I think it's something that kind of makes sense that Disney would do this. It's that step between the Lightning Lane Multipass and the VIP tour. Now, I'm not going to be purchasing it because I don't want, I've already got my annual pass for Disney World. I'm not spending an additional, $300-$400 a day. But then again, with an annual pass, I don't have to get on every ride.
Because you have time. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. We have time. We have time on that trip, and we'll be going to another trip, and we've been there before. But for people who have the money and are going for a short period of time, or they don't know when they'll be coming back, I think that it probably is a good plan, a good option for them. Like I said, I don't think I'll be paying for it, but I wasn't sure when we read it this morning. I think we were reading it too fast. We weren't quite awake yet. I didn't think that it included the single pass ones, like to get on Rise and things like that.
It does.
But then, Ricky was asking in Facebook about it, and I said something about it, and she said, no, it does include those. So that's good, because at first I was thinking it didn't include those. It was like, come on, include the ones that people really want to get on.
Yeah.
But if it does, I'm like, okay, it makes sense.
It takes all that planning.
Kind of painful.
Plus, you're buying your way out of any kind of planning, right? You could just walk up and just.
You
boom.
are.
I mean, you don't have to think about anything. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people who don't want to plan ahead and have the money,
Yeah.
then this is their option.
I plan and I don't have the money, so I will just be going with my. I've never even I never did buy Genie Plus. I've only bought one individual Lightning Lane, or Lightning Lane single pass as they call them nowadays.
Yeah.
Radiator Springs one time because I had a later flight that day and I just want to do it one more time. And
Right.
it's just not for me. But do I begrudge people to have it? Because they're not going to. It's a limited quantity, so I don't think it's going to move the needle that much for me seeing attractions. So as long as it doesn't move the needle too much for Mike from Missouri, I'm fine with it. Okay. But if it starts to affect my trip a lot, then I do start to have issues. But
Yeah.
today was kind of a day where Disney was starting to ask for a lot of money from different groups. And it would, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not DVC either. So, but DVC, they started to put out a plan for them too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We are
All
DVC
right.
and talk about that in a sec, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you choose where you spend your money,
You
and
do.
we have the annual pass, and that's plenty. And maybe some days we'll get the multi-pass if we want to get a lot done, or if we're there with family members or friends that haven't been, or, we want to get a lot done. Otherwise, these days, I can go in a park and go on a couple rides, see a show, have some food, and I'm done. I'm good.
That's totally actually, and I take that back. I misspoke. I have bought Genie Plus that one day when we were there, and it made sense that one day. It
Oh,
was that day
right.
after
Yeah,
the
it did.
cruise. We got off the cruise ship. Paige was there for one day because she had to go
Yep.
back to coach, and she said we're going to one park, and so she want to go to the studio. She hadn't done any of that other stuff, so I was like, okay, we'll get Genie Plus. And we got a ton done. I forgot.
Right.
Killed me to spend that money, but it accomplished the goal. We got a ton done. But here's the
It
thing:
did.
I was exhausted. I can't go at that pace anymore because we didn't take a break. Holy smokes!
Yeah.
I'm an annual pass.
That's
Like I got to just chill. Ambiance is underrated.
yes.
Anyway, so you were just out at Disneyland last weekend. So
Yeah.
tell us about like how this trip come together. Like what you guys DVC you stayed out at the new villas at the Disneyland Hotel. So jealous. God, those
We
things
did.
look beautiful. So how'd this come together?
Well, we love going in fall, but we haven't been in fall for, gosh, probably 8 or 9 years. Um, and we had parent teacher conferences, so I had Friday off. So I said, how about I take Monday? I only have to take one day. We can do a 4-day weekend. And our daughter was able to come along, and we actually ended up having her best friend who lives in Seattle, so they don't get to see each other very often. She came along with us too, so it was the four of us. Um, and we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel in the new villas over in the Discovery Tower. And we had, my husband and I had the duo studio with the garden view, which is really interesting because it's its own little building, and there's only 8 rooms, and they all have this patio that like overlooks the pool. And I was a little afraid we'd be like right on top of the pool, but they did a nice job. There's actually like this glass wall and some landscaping that separates it. It was really nice. So my husband and I had that room, and those duo studios only sleep two. So we had that room, and then the girls had a duo studio also, but they were in the tower.
See, I was booked in a duo studio for Disneyland for the races right after when I was out there last January. But then at the last minute, I chickened out because I didn't want to spend that much because I was on
Yeah.
cash, and the girls weren't coming with me. And I was like, if I post a bunch of, because it was so fancy looking, I was like, if I start Instagramming pictures of how fancy and I'm staying at the Disneyland Hotel, they'll kill me. So then I stayed off site
Yeah.
because it looked too
No, I
nice. I
don't
was like,
blame
I
you.
can't do it without them. I got to wait till they come. But I mean, because well, they wouldn't have cared. But I mean, it was just like, it would have been a huge splurge. It was right after Christmas, but it just looks,
Yeah.
I think they nailed the aesthetics of that place. Did you not agree? I mean, it just looks so beautiful
Yeah.
because it's an addition to a classic hotel. Disneyland Hotel has,
Right.
it looks so classy. It looks so kind of retro, but it has a lot of,
Yes.
new amenities, but they put up this new tower and it doesn't look out of place.
It really doesn't. We'd never, well, I can't say we never have stayed there. My husband and I both stayed there separately when we were kids. We each had stayed at the Disneyland Hotel once, but as adults, we hadn't stayed there. We had stayed at the Grand Californian once on DVC, and that's a beautiful hotel, but it's really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And we prefer the aesthetic of the Disneyland Hotel. It's bright, it's cheerful. Um, and like you said, it's that new tower. It looks like it belongs. It just kind of makes this circle
Yeah, it finishes
of
like it
towers.
circles it in. You're right. It kind of
Yeah, it
completes
does.
the loop. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. There's, all the towers kind of face inward towards the main pool, and it goes. It doesn't look out of place at all. And it has that mid-century modern kind of decor to it, and it was really nice. We really enjoyed it.
Awesome. So you guys were there for the weekend, extended weekend. And real quick,
Yes.
so you're there. I imagine like fall is just the jam to be out there. I mean, was it just crowd levels for the weekend as a whole? How was it?
It wasn't too bad, but it definitely held the mantra of get up and get going early. Saturday was our Disneyland day, and we did early entry for staying at the resort. So we were over there walking in at 7:30 when they took us, and we had so much done by like 9:30, 10 o'clock. We couldn't believe that it wasn't even lunchtime yet. We got on so many rides. And then that afternoon, it got crowded. So it's kind of like the other parks in Florida. You get up, you get going in the morning, you can get a lot done, and everybody's going to come in the afternoon. But
So did you guys, it looks like from your notes, and we'll kind of jump around here on the notes, but
yeah,
you guys went in straight for Fantasyland and Disneyland. I mean, to me,
we did.
you have to do that. For folks that have never been to Disneyland, and Scott told me this, but my first trip, he's like, Mike, because the first day he's like, we met out there for my first trip in July of 22,
Hmm.
but he was meeting up. They were driving up from San Diego, and we got there a day before him. And he wasn't there my first day at Disneyland. He's like, I want you to do the parks with your family the first day by yourself. Just have a good time. Then we'll meet up. We'll be together the next 6 days. We'll have a blast. I was like, okay, cool. He's like, but I got to tell you this. When you go the first day, rope drop and go to Fantasyland. He's like, I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
man. He's like, you will just have a ball. And it was the best advice anybody's ever given me. Because it's just like, it is. I mean, if you want the Disney experience, just rope drop straight to Fantasyland and Disneyland Park. It looks like you guys did, because if you've never done that, I mean, characters are walking around. You can just go attraction to attraction to attraction. And it's those dark rides that are the heartbeat of a Disney park.
Yeah, we did pay for the Lightning Lane multipass, because we had that one day in Disneyland, and it was my daughter's friend's first time ever going to
Oh,
land.
nice.
She'd been to World with my daughter, but she'd never been to land before. So we're like, okay, we want to make sure we get on as many rides as we can and give you the full experience. So we went ahead and did the multipass, but we went straight for Fantasyland because I love Alice in Wonderland,
Yes.
and there is no lightning lane for that.
Nope.
So I'm like, I got to get on that ride. So that was first ride. And then we went around the corner and went to Mr. Toad.
Yeah, those are the
It's like
two
we
right
got,
there. Those are the two
yeah,
best, because you're not at World, right? You gotta go
right.
about there. Yes.
Yeah. And as we're riding through Mr. Toad, I mean, we've been on this ride since we were kids. We've taken our daughter on this ride, and then you start to think, how have I warped my child by taking her on rides like Mr. Toad when she was little?
Every time I ride that, I'm like, how does this ride still exist?
That's it. That's what we got off the ride, and I said, okay, well, I'm glad we went on it, because who knows if it'll be here next time we come.
That's
It
what I say every
they're
time.
changing other things. They changed pirates
They
to,
changed
and
Peter
they
Pan just a
changed
couple of
they
months
changed
ago.
right. They changed Peter Pan. Like, when is Mr. Toad just going to get the axe? So we
How
had
do
to
they
go
know?
on it.
I know. That's what I say too. Hello.
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious that they're missing it.
Right.
It's like
Yes.
right there. Oh, don't change.
Um, and like you're saying with the characters, we got over to Toontown when the park actually opened at 8 o'clock, and we turned a corner, just kind of looking around to see what was there because they'd changed it since we last been. And we turn a corner, and there's Pete from the original like Mickey Mouse cartoons. And so we got our picture taken with Pete and met him. And I mean, unique characters you don't see. And he's just walking around.
That's Disneyland, though. That's so weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird how it's a different experience at Disneyland as World. Like they're just hanging
Yeah,
out. They're just hanging out in the park, and then you just go
they do.
by, grab a selfie, and just go. It's like
Yeah.
boom, you're out of there. You'd
Yeah,
have
it was
waited
great.
45 minutes for that in Orlando. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, you would have. Um, one of the things we really wanted to do was to get on Haunted Mansion because it had the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. We are big fans of Nightmare Before Christmas. I know you think it's weird, but
I swear your brain is either programmed for that or it's not. And
yes,
I didn't
yeah.
get in line that day or something. I don't know.
So, um, going back to not being sure about our daughter's flight getting out there, we weren't sure if she was going to be able to get us into the park because cast members for World, they can see like weeks or months in advance if days are open that they can reserve a spot and they can take guests and get in. Land is like up to the very last minute. So she really didn't even know until I think it was either Thursday night or Friday morning that she could get us into land. And along those lines of paying the price for the premiere pass, last week, Disneyland raised the prices by about $10 on tickets to land.
Yes, they did. Yep.
So, yeah, so while we're waiting to see if we can get in or not, they raised the price. And I mean, we have annual passes, so we've spent the money on that. But when it came down to, are we really going to pay $800 for the four of us to get into land? We were debating that. I mean, it's just crazy. I positively love it, but $200 a person is a lot of money. And I didn't know if I could really justify paying $800 to make sure that I got onto the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion, you know?
And see, this is where my brain it helps me because when I go to Disneyland, I go maybe once a year now for the races, right? And I book a vacation package because I don't have annual passes or anything to Disneyland. I don't have a,
Right.
magic key or anything. So I just book a vacation package that includes the hotel, the tickets, and I just roll right in the park hopper and the
Oh, yeah.
lightning lane because I'm just like, it's so worth it out there. Like you have to have it. It's so easy to park hop and it's so easy with the lightning
Right.
lane. There's so much to use it on. Like it just out there, it totally makes sense. Like that's money.
Yeah,
Just take my money. And the thing is, like, I just don't break it down, right? I just look, it's all one
that's smart.
price. Like I don't like you just told me that. Like I don't even want to focus on that. Like it's like,
I know.
okay, this is what my whole thing costs, and I'm gonna go to Disneyland for 6 nights, and run a race and all that.
Yeah,
Good deal. Okay, I'm staying at the Howard Johnson. Good, they're fine. I'm fine.
right.
So
Yes.
yeah, no, you're exactly right though. I mean, when you do break it down to like what a day at Disneyland costs, I mean, it is what it is, even in a package. It is crazy. But, again, I think you said it earlier. We all have our things that we cut back on other places in our life, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't gamble. I don't, do these other things.
Right.
There's other things that I do save my money on so I can go sign up for races and travel to Disneyland and so forth. I mean, we all have our
Yeah.
things. I don't golf,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all those other
So,
things are
and
expensive. Yeah.
that being said, with things that we are willing to spend our money on, um, we have booked the Happiest Haunts tour at Disneyland, and that was a ton of fun. Um, it was about $100 a person, and we got they walked us around for it was like a 2-hour tour, and they told us some cool spooky stories that went along with Disneyland. It was a lot of fun. And then it also included a reserved spot to watch the Halloween fireworks show.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was really worth it. So
How, how
I
did
am
you?
really glad that we did that.
So how did you? Because I don't know if people still have time to do this year, but how was that?
Yeah,
What, 60 days out, or how did it?
it was. It's a 60-day out thing, and now being mid-October, I don't
Yeah. Well,
know,
for next year,
if
because
it's too
these
late.
things
But for
we've
next
been here for
year,
16 years, so somebody will catch it right next
yeah,
time around. Hopefully,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So for next year, absolutely. It was something I booked 60 days out. And actually, I was afraid that all the times and days would be gone, like the weekend that we were going. And I went on there 60 days. You just go to the Disneyland site. I just searched Happiest Haunts Tour because I knew that's what it was called, and it came up. And at my 60-day mark, um, there was like all week long, there were days and times. So we actually had a good selection as to when we wanted to do it. So that was nice.
So that's awesome. And let me ask you a couple other things about this day real quick. And we're probably just gonna
Yeah.
have to stick to Disneyland on this trip report because we're gonna run out
No,
of
you're
time because
good.
this is good stuff. Because we got to talk about
Yeah,
Oogie
it's
Boogie in a minute.
timely
Well,
too.
we'll talk about the cruise some other time. We'll get you back on.
Yeah.
Um, you guys, first of all, your daughter's friend went. She knows World, but this is her first time to Disneyland.
Right.
What was she saying this first day? Like, I love to hear people as they experience like one or the other for the first time when they have that knowledge base of say World, and now they're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're at Disneyland. Like, What was the conversation like from her perspective throughout the day?
Um, I think she was just kind of taking it all in. I mean, she's not somebody that's like overly gushy about things, but she was having a ton of fun, and it was kind of like she was just along for the ride. If we said we're going on this ride, she'd get on it. There were like no complaints or anything. She was just literally along for the ride all day long, and we said, okay, we're going to do this one. She's like, okay, and she had a ton of fun. She did enjoy the fact that Space Mountain was the side by side versus the tandem.
Yeah.
That's always kind of fun. And I think we really wanted to get on the rides that we knew we couldn't do at World, and for her it was kind of fun to see the differences in some of the rides, um, like the Haunted Mansion Overlay and Space Mountain. Um, let's see, what else do we
Probably Pirates.
do? You know what? We didn't end up on Pirates. It was with the tour, they said that they take you on a ride, or it includes a ride, usually Pirates. Well, what it actually was they gave us a lightning lane pass at the end that we could go on one of 4 rides. And we hadn't been on Pirates because we thought we were going to get on it with the tour. But then when the tour was over, we needed to get something to eat before we lined up to get for the fireworks. And my daughter and I both have a gluten allergy. And so I love land, but World is so much easier with allergies.
Really? That's good to
Food
know.
allergies, yeah, food allergies are so much easier at World. Um, some of the restaurants list things in like the mobile order app, some don't. A lot of them just say talk to the chef, but it's it's kind of like when you find what works, you stick with it
Yes, I'm
because you
totally
don't.
like that. I don't if I
And
find something I like or I know, I don't
yeah,
deviate. Yep.
and I would love to try new things, but like we love Hungry Bear. Well, Hungry Bear's closed. It opens up in like another week or two.
Yeah, and I got rid of my
And
favorite chicken sandwich too. I saw that this morning. Oh, I mean,
yeah,
it
I don't know
looks
what.
good. It looks good to me, but I'm just saying, I like barbecue, but I love that little. It was just a little plain old chicken sandwich. It was so good.
Right.
Anyway, R.I.P.
Yeah. I I don't know what the new allergy menu is going to look like there, so we'll see. But um, talking about park hoppers, we hopped over to California Adventure because we had been to Flo's V8 Cafe before, and I pulled it up and I was like, there is a good-looking turkey sandwich there. Let's go. So we jumped over. We had something to eat. We looked around at cars just a little bit, knowing we'd be back there on Sunday, and then we hopped back over to land so we could see the fireworks.
And that's the joy of Disneyland, ladies and gentlemen, right there. You
Yeah.
can just hop right over to the other park, have something to eat, boom, right back to Disneyland.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
Working on our mobile order as we're walking across between the two.
I've
So
I've done
it
that for
it
smoke
worked.
jumpers for breakfast, right there, because you just go right
Yeah.
inside and just hang a right
Right.
there, and I've got the like it's like a breakfast burrito or something that's really good, and I
Yeah.
had that. But yeah, that's hey, can't Flows is good, and Flows is just cool.
It
Like
was.
I just love
Yeah.
I love the
It's
vibe of
fun.
Flows. Flows is so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so
It's
many
my
fun
daughter
things.
was teasing me because we were there and we were just supposed to get food and leave. And she's like, Mom, you could stay all night here, couldn't you? I'm like, yes. I'm like, in the Cars movies. This is amazing.
Well, I've said a million times, Cars Land is my favorite land of any of the Disneylands. I mean, it beats
It's amazing.
Galaxy's Edge. It's unreal. Like I could just
Yeah.
hang out there for it. I mean, I like the Cars movies, but it's almost perfect. Especially as the
It
sun
is.
goes
It's
down,
so
it's
immersive.
unreal. Anyway, so okay, so looks like man, you saw the fireworks kind of wrap up the day. What a
Yeah,
first day! I mean, you had to have been exhausted
it
though, because you
was.
guys were just like going. I mean,
We were. We're not usually rope drop to close people. Oh, but what we did do in the middle of the day, for those listeners who are DVC members, we went to the somewhat new DVC Lounge in Tomorrowland. We over at the hotel, we had spoken with one of the guides, and he said, "Bring food with you. You can eat your lunch in there, and there's free drinks or complimentary." Um, so we got our lunch and we took it up, and we sat in that lounge for a good, I don't know, almost 90 minutes, just relaxing and put our feet up and had a beverage with our lunch, and that was a really nice break to the day because we are not usually rope drop to close people. And so that little break in the middle of the day, we didn't go back to the hotel, but we did take a break, and it was worth it. It was good.
Now, where's that located in Tomorrowland? Like near what attraction? Because I just like to know
So
where these things are. I'm not DVC, but I'm not going up there.
no,
But
no, we had to ask too, and I'll tell you the funny that one of the guides explained it, and I was like, okay, I got you now. So if in Tomorrowland, if you're looking at Space Mountain,
yep.
to the left, there is a building. It's kind of like where Carousel of Progress would be at World,
Okay.
that type of the round building. Um, they're using it as, did they call it Launch Bay?
Is it
I
kind?
think
It's
they
just so it's
did.
where Darth Vader does his meet and greet and all that stuff. He's
Yes.
still there. Yeah.
But when I
Okay.
was staring at the guy and he was trying to explain it to me, he said, America Sings. And I said, I got you. I know where it is. Because that was America Sings. That was the attraction back when I was a kid. And I'm like, I know exactly where that is.
Like sign me up,
So
make my Sprite. I'll be
yeah,
there in a minute.
I knew where it was. It was great.
I love
But
it.
yeah, it's over by Space Mountain. Just kind of if you're looking at the entrance, it's the building that's to the left is the round building.
So now I know where not to go because I'm not DVC. Cool. But I know where.
Well, you can go
when
with
I see
Scott.
it. That's exactly right. See, you don't have to have DVC. You just have to have a good friend.
You have to have a
who's
friend.
DVC. That's
Uh-huh.
why I've gotten in all the places. I've been to Top of the World. I've been to the one in Epcot
Yeah.
over in Imagination. I've been places. Scotty G.
There you go.
Shout out. Hashtag. Okay.
Yep.
Here we
Happy
go.
birthday.
So Sunday though, you guys, the goal Oogie Boogie Bash, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But you guys had
Yeah.
to chill because you don't want to wear yourselves out early because you gotta be ready for the bash.
Yeah.
So you kind of took it easy.
Right.
Started the day off. Goofy's Kitchen. Have not done this at Disneyland myself. I've done the one over at Grand Californian. Why is it slipping my mind right now? What's it? Oh my gosh.
Storytellers.
Storytellers. Yes. The one where they do yoga on the
Yeah.
surfboards in the pool right outside the
Yes.
window that I had to freak out about. That was so weird. Like I couldn't even watch characters. Like it was the craziest thing I ever saw. But yeah, so Goofy's Kitchen though comparable to Chef Mickey's, would you say? That's kind of what I hear a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so. I like it better. I honestly, I'm in the camp of I don't really care for Chef Mickey's
Yeah,
very much.
Chef
I think
Mickey's.
because it's
It's ex-
open in the middle of the hotel, it just I don't care for it as much. Um, but it was fun. You walk in and you meet Goofy and you get your picture taken with him. But in addition to Goofy, they had Minnie Mouse, Chip and Dale, and was it Pluto? I think it was Pluto walking around, and they were all dressed up for Halloween.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
So
whoa,
it was really cute.
whoa. Wait, oh, hang on. Did Goofy?
There was no chainsaw. No.
Oh man, see, I thought that he might see him coming around the corner at the kitchen. There comes flying out there this time of year. There he is.
No, he was happy
Okay.
and festive. He wasn't scary Goofy.
Be careful. Oogie Boogie Bash, if you see Goofy, just be ready to run. Have those, apparently Brooks Running is sponsoring your sneakers now, so be ready.
Oh, I saw that.
Go ahead, I'm
Well,
sorry.
we had not been to Goofy's Kitchen we figured it out, 19 years. We went to a birthday party. My daughter went to a party there when she was 6, and we found the pictures on our phone, and they had seated us in the same room that we had been in 19 years prior, and like the same picture was still on the wall. It was really kind of cool.
That's what Disneyland's all about, nostalgia.
yeah.
They knew.
Yeah, they did. I have to say the sit down was great as far as allergies go. They had quite a few choices for us. They brought us out things from the back. So sit downs are great, but Land just doesn't have as many sit downs, and we didn't want to spend that kind of time because we only had the one day.
Yep.
So that's why we were looking for the quick service on Saturday. So
Oh,
yeah,
sounds
but
cool.
Sunday was a lot of fun. It was a fun breakfast.
So you did that. I love how many unique things you got. That's why I just want to focus on this at this point. So
Yeah,
then you went to
we're
the
good.
basically Cast Connection at Disneyland, which
did.
is called Company D. So again, we're getting to peek behind the curtain for all of us people who are not cast and who are not DVC.
I know.
Yeah,
We feel
I've
blessed.
actually been in Cast Connection at Walt Disney World because I knew somebody that was a cast member. Got to go with them. And
Yeah.
I got a name tag that had Mike on it, and it was way back. This was like in
Oh
2002,
yeah.
and back then instead of like it said your hometown, it had like your favorite character, and so it
Oh
said
yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that
it
this
said
weekend.
Aladdin on it. Aladdin wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite character, but I bought that thing for like 99 cents. I have it somewhere, but yeah. So what was that like out at Disneyland? I mean, that's probably a pretty cool thing to do.
Well, we had never been there before because we hadn't been to land since she became a cast member. And it's about a couple miles, not even that far from Disneyland. So we drove over there, and as we were driving up, the parking lot was packed. We ended up having to park across the street and walk over, and they were having like this family and friends event,
Uh-oh.
and you could bring everybody in and they could get your discount and everything, which was a great benefit to us. But it was packed, and they had so much stuff. But let me tell you, the stuff they had was good. I was really impressed because there have been some times that we've gone to Cast Connection with her, and it's just I don't really like it. But they did have some Run Disney stuff. I did not purchase it because even though it's cute, I'm like, if I didn't run the marathon, I'm not going to wear the
That's
shirt.
me.
So
I'm 100%. I mean, yeah, that I have that rule too. Even I'm with
yeah.
you. I appreciate you being that way. Thank you.
But we did get some fun stuff. There were some things that I had looked at previously, at World, and like, no, that's too much money. And then it comes up there and it's like 75% off. I'm like, okay,
That's
I'll get
coming
it.
home. That's heading
So
back to Idaho.
yeah, exactly. So that's where we ended up doing our shopping was there. And then we went back to the hotel and had some pool time and relaxed a little bit before we headed over to Oogie Boogie.
So, you guys says you dressed up for the party.
Yes.
So, how costuming? Let's talk
We
about this before you guys headed over, because party obviously is a California adventure, so you're getting over there. You're gonna have
yes.
some dinner. Little spoiler: you go back to Flo's for your
We're
dinner
back to
because, like I
flows.
said, tried and true.
It
Don't
was
mess with
easy.
it. You think just like me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, why mess with
Yep.
it? So, how's the costumes? What's the plan here?
We went pirates. We had pirate costumes because of the cruises.
Yep,
So
practical.
it was like, you know what? We already have this. Let's just go with what we've already got. Maybe next time we'll do something more creative because some of those costumes that people have are just amazing at that thing. And I love the ones that are kind of more obscure, that, the side characters from a
Yep.
movie that people might not know as much. But yeah, so the four of us all had pirate wear, so that's what we went with.
I'd wonder too, and I have theories. I always talk to Scott about this too. In California, I wonder if the costumes are even better than in Florida, because I think too the cast members, like as far as like Jungle Cruise skippers and like the acting roles,
Oh yeah.
are better in California, right? Because everybody wants to go to Hollywood, right? So I wonder if maybe the costumes are better out there because there's probably more like costume shops, because it is like Hollywood, and they probably have
Yeah,
people that's their jam. I don't. Did you see like some
yeah,
really
might be.
really good costumes rolling around there that night?
I'm trying to think. We saw, oh, my daughter caught it. The cartoon show Gravity Falls. There was a family that was dressed as like the whole cast, and what caught her eye is there's a pig on the show,
Yeah.
and someone was dressed as the pig, and it caught her eye, and she's like, "Oh, I know who they are." So that was really fun. And I'm trying to think what were some of the other ones we saw. I can't, of course, now I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. We haven't been to Mickey's Not So Scary in quite a while because it just, as a teacher, that's not
It's
a time
hard.
other
Yeah.
than like this 4 day. I don't, and I took the Monday, I don't get a long weekend. So we've been to the Christmas party more than we have
Yep.
the Halloween party.
I hear you.
Um,
I know.
but
I,
yeah,
I remember trying to get off those times to go to the party too when I was
yeah.
teaching. It was like, I'm sick. You're not sick. I am sick
Yeah,
'cause
it's hard to be like,
I ate too many Twix.
I'm sick for 5 days.
Exactly. I am sick. I ate all the Twix, all the Reese's, all of it from the Halloween party on Sunday night. Yes, I cannot make it Monday because I'm still in Florida. No, I get it. So, okay. So Oogie Boogie Bash. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, this thing is insanely popular. I mean, it melts servers when the tickets go on sale. A couple years ago, I mean, it burned down the servers so bad they had to like delay putting the tickets back on sale for like a month. It was insane. I mean, it makes Run Disney look like they're just giving out free tickets. So
That's
worth all that hassle. I mean, give us a review of the party.
So, I did feel like Run Disney, which I've never done, but I heard you guys talk about it. That's how I felt when we were trying to get our tickets. Luckily, it was in the summer, so I didn't have to do it while teaching. But I had my laptop, my iPad, and my phone going. My husband had all three as well.
Yep.
And one of his had a great number. And so we ended up going with that one in the queue. But yeah, it was hard to get tickets, but I will tell you, it was so cool. We didn't get in quite as early as we could have. We were just kind of enjoying our pool time. But once we got in there, we had a lot of fun. We did, we've got some friends that have done like the party within a party. I think Scott's done it before too.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, we had never done that before, but they had a dessert party, and the dessert party gave you reserved seating for the parade. And the parades are always like my favorite part of those parties. I always want to see the parade. So this is definitely worth it. You get this big plate of treats, and they did a separate treat plate for my daughter and myself. There was a lot of fruit on it, but there was some other things on there as well that were more dessert-like. And all you can drink beverages while you're there. The guy was sending us off with extra bottles of water afterwards. And we were literally like, we were a table on the walkway street. They had tables lined to one side of it. And that's where we sat. And the parade went by right in front of us. Nobody blocking us. So that was really awesome. We did the earlier parade and it worked out really well. Afterwards, we did several of the treat trails, and what they have, it's trick-or-treating, but you can also see characters, and it's villains and people you never see. So that's what's really cool. My daughter loves Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and the bad guy from that was in it. We saw his name listed and we're like, who is this? And we looked it up and we surprised her with it. She didn't know that who the character was going to be, and she was flipping out when she saw it. It was great. So we saw him. We saw Oogie Boogie, Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb.
Very nice.
And yeah, I love that. The guy did a really good job. I heard somebody who went to the parade, or excuse me, to the party, like when it first came out, and they weren't impressed with him. This guy did a really good job with Doofenshmirtz, and his voice was like spot on. And who else? Oh, Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco. He's like the ghost guy that plays the guitar, and he actually sang. It was really neat.
Nice.
Yeah.
So these, I mean, great live entertainment throughout the.
Yes,
I mean, you're getting
they were.
really great, live experiences.
Right, and you're walking through slowly. I mean, they've got the path, like a queue basically. But you're walking through, and you're able to see them and listen to them while you're getting some treats along the way. And the whole thing maybe takes you 5 minutes because everybody's moving along. They're not slowing down. And we saw Agatha Harkness from the new Agatha All Along show on Disney Plus. She was there too, and she interacted with my daughter and was talking with her. And it was really cool. We really enjoyed those treat trails. That was fun.
That is cool. Because, I mean, they need to bring out specialty stuff like that for these hard ticket events. That's what you're paying your money for.
Yes.
Because that's what you don't get during the day, right? I mean, like you said, you got to ride like Radiator Springs Racers with a 15-minute wait. I mean, that's...
Yes.
I mean, there's something to be said for that because it's usually 2 hours minimum, or you're buying a Lightning Lane single pass for that. But, that is something you do have access to any day that you're in California Adventure, but you can't do these other things. You're not meeting Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Right. And they had this walkthrough thing called Villains Grove. It was really cool. There was like, my daughter said it seemed like maybe it was like a play place type thing for kids to run through because some of the ground was like that. It's not asphalt, but it's got some give to it.
Yeah, yeah,
So some of the
yeah.
ground was
Sponge
like
floor.
that.
Yep.
But there were trees and they had these cool like light shows in there and fog and cool spooky music playing. It was a really neat walkthrough. We weren't really sure what it was going to be, but it was really cool.
That is
So we did that,
awesome.
and then yeah, and then we capped off the night by doing Radiator Springs with 15 minutes. I timed it because I was wondering what it would be, and we did Web Slingers twice. We just walked right on, and it's like, okay, you think about how much you pay for the lightning lanes to walk onto those things, and then you add in all the other stuff that the party ticket really was worth it. The crowds weren't bad at all at the party. I was really impressed. Oh, and while we were waiting for the dessert party, my daughter looks at us and we were right across from Incredicoaster, like right across the bridge. And she said, "Can we please run and go on Incredicoaster?" Like, yeah, get out of here. So my husband and I really didn't want to do it, but the girls did. And we were like less than 5 minute walk from it. And they looked at it, they're like, "It's a 10-minute wait." So we ran
That's
over and did
something
that.
even at most times, like in Coaster, you think during the day a lot of times it has a short wait too. So that one
Oh,
that
wow.
one shocks me. Like you can usually get on a Coaster. I love
Yeah.
that, right? Because it eats people. But oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
one's so fun.
That's true.
Yeah, I love that one. But
Yeah.
man, 10 minutes during a party, and it's better at night anyway.
Yeah.
It's way better
Yeah.
with the water and
Exactly.
the lights and oh my gosh,
Right.
that's what it's
Yeah.
about. Like just see what you can do, like on a because when you don't have to consider wait times, it is kind of
Right.
that freeing, like, you get that spontaneity back that feels like, we've lost over the past decade. Like, hey, let's just go
Yeah.
do this right now. And we
Let's just go
can.
on right
You
now.
don't have to be
Run
like,
over
oh,
there and get on the
well,
ride.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of and I'll give you credit. I mean, at the end of the night, to do web slingers twice in a row, stamina. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That exhausts you.
Well, we kind of slept in a little bit that day. So
All
that was
that.
nice. Oh, okay. So I have to brag on myself for a second here. I am always the one in the family that gets the most horrible scores on Toy Story Mania and Buzz. Like I'll have 15,000 points on Buzz and my family has like 150,000.
They probably
You know,
cheat.
they probably do. They know all the things to hit. And I cannot do those rides. I love them, but I can't do them. We got on Web Slingers and my score both times we did it was just under 200,000 and my family members were at least 50,000 if not more below me. And I don't know. It's
There you
my
go.
ride.
You just need to keep going on web slingers. Forget all the rest.
I know.
You're a West Coast web slingers person. That's it.
I
You
guess
you
so. It
you
was
are
fun.
you were born to sling webs. Is what it is.
Get those little robot spiders. I got them all.
So funny. Oh man, so this was kind of the wrap to your like park time, but the next morning you guys got up and
Yeah.
before you headed back to Idaho, you guys went to the
Oh,
Great Maple. Now see, you said you weren't really happy about this and the great
well,
experience, and this kind of bums me out because over dinner
I
tonight I was
know.
telling my wife how excited I am when I go out in January. I am
Well,
going to this restaurant. I am going to give it a shot. I'm excited for it.
maybe you'll have a different experience. The people were very nice, but my husband's food was kind of cold. And when we asked them, when we said something to them, they said they would bring out more. It was like two eggs that they had to bring out. And it was like over 15 minutes later, they brought the eggs out. They ended up comping his meal, which was fabulous. But it, and then the allergy meal, they brought mine out with, I didn't even know it was coming with toast. It had regular bread on it, not gluten free. And I was like, "Oh, is this regular or gluten free?" And she's like, "Oh, no." And then my daughter's, I said, "Well, is this one gluten free?" She said, "It should be." And I'm like, "No, we can't do should be when it comes to
Yeah,
allergies."
yeah.
So we had to send it back. So we were a little disappointed there. Um, I mean, when we got the food, it was tasty, but I don't like messing with allergies. That's the only thing I have to say about land is they need to up their game when it comes to allergies because that's something that we can't mess around with.
No, I totally understand that because I have an EpiPen and I get it. Because I've had
Yeah.
that. That's some
Um,
weird thing with
we
like
did
bologna and hot
discover,
dogs. Yeah, it's weird.
um, my daughter said that because of the color of their badges, that it's actually a third party. We didn't realize that.
Yeah, I
Great
think it
Mabel
is.
is not a Disney restaurant.
No, I think it. Yeah, I think that's correct. It's owned by a third
Yeah.
party. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give it a shot because it has chiquiles or whatever that Scott
Yes.
told me about, which I've never heard of until we went out
Yes.
to Storytellers, which I fell in love with, and they're
Right.
really good. And they have a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that looks like my jam. But I'll give it. Unfortunately, I don't have any like allergies to that stuff. Like I said, it's more like
That's good.
it's weird bologna and hot dogs kind of thing. It was weird.
Yeah.
But so before we get out of here, like I said, we'll talk about the cruise some other time. But man, guys, because you guys know I love because Disneyland. Like my first time was in July of 22, so it's still kind of new to me. It's all exciting and haven't done everything a ton of times, so I'm really pumped about it. But like one last story, or maybe what your overall when you guys headed, your daughter's friend headed back to Washington State to Seattle, or what did your daughter tell you? Like what was the final verdict on this Halloween weekend out at Disneyland Resort? I mean, what are you gonna leave us with this trip?
Oh geez, I should have had this planned out.
This is the
I don't
conclusion
know.
to the lesson. You're the teacher. We had the
conclusion.
anticipatory set. Now this is you're bringing it
Right?
home. This is, you got to conclude the lesson. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It was really good family time. I will say that it was, even though it was kind of busy, it was relaxing as well, and it was just really good to be together and spend some time together. I Oh gosh, I don't
Well,
know.
did you feel like you didn't, like, it was just like a long weekend, right? I mean, you went out there, did Saturday, Sunday in
It
the
was. We
parks. I
went
mean,
out Friday. Yeah.
but you felt like you still got like a little, like you still felt like it was a vacation, even though you
Oh
weren't there
yeah,
like 7 days at World. I mean, this felt like it
we
was good
really
enough. Like it
did.
was enough time to say, oh yeah, we had a good time, and I don't like feel like I missed out on a ton of stuff.
No. And I would definitely recommend Oogie Boogie to anybody who's thinking about it. It's just so different and just a ton of fun. Um, and hitting up the parks in the fall is really fun and unique also. It's, a short period of time because as soon as Halloween's over, they're going to break it down and Christmas is going to go up. But it really is unique. Disneyland is so manageable. When you hear people talk about, especially if you stay at one of the resorts, you hear people talk about how easy it is to walk from one to the other. It really is. I mean, I told you how Saturday night we just hopped over, had dinner, and went back, and it was really, really easy and fun. I will say it's different. The app is a little bit different, even though they look alike. It's give yourself time to figure out the app, figure out how to do the lightning lanes there because it is different than Florida. I've only done the lightning lane before it was multipass, it was still Genie Plus. Once in Florida, and it was different in California. So just give yourself time to, figure that out, do your research on those things, but it really is worth it. And you can do it in a weekend and really feel like you had as much, enough fun and enough time there. We had a nice mix of relaxing and go, and it did feel like a nice little vacation getaway.
I want to do that Oogie Boogie Bash. That does look like a ton of
It's
fun.
worth it.
'Cause I like
But you got to have
Disney.
your Run Disney stuff
Oh,
set up. You got to
that's the
have
thing.
multiple
I know.
devices.
Seriously, I've said that for years. Like running the races isn't hard. Signing up for the races takes 5 years off my life. And I mean, the Oogie Boogie Bash,
Yeah.
because I've never tried to buy the tickets, but of course, I'm with people that, I hear from people that are all trying, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of voodoo you got to put on your 8 kind of, screens to get tickets. It's,
Right.
it's like a lottery. It really is like a lottery
It
because
is. It
who
is.
knows whose like pipeline's gonna, like you said, it was your husband's, oh, is it gonna be the iPad? Is it gonna be the iPhone? Is it gonna be the laptop? Is it, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and some people have like algorithms to figure all this stuff out. I'm not that smart. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of let the
No.
fates decide. If I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't. So, well,
Yeah.
hey, Stephanie, thanks so much. And hey, do thank your
you.
daughter for us for making the magic down in Walt Disney
Oh,
World.
I
We love
will.
our cast members, and they are truly the reason why the destinations we go to are special. And just thank her for that because those places wouldn't be the same without them.
Yeah, I will. Thank you, Mike.
All right. And have a good rest of your school year, too. We appreciate our teachers.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Don't forget our show always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure. Whether you want to head out west to Disneyland, down to Florida, down to the peninsula and see Walt Disney World, or see the world with Disney Cruise Line. There's cruise ships all over the place. And we'd love to take you. You can see the world too with Adventures by Disney. They're everywhere. So just check out all the details this week. No cost to use our services over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. We could not do this without you. And for $5 a month, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. We'd love to have your support. Come on over this week. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. It's X. Or Instagram. I'm there every day. And Threads. And you can catch me in the clubhouse. There's no ads, no nothing. It's just a bunch of our listeners, about 1,200 of us that hang out all day, every day, talking life, talking Disney, sports. We have channels for everything. Come over, check it out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. And finally, live call-in show this Sunday night. Scott joins me. We open up the phone lines. You're the reason for the show. You get to come on and talk about whatever you like when it comes to the Disney community. We got lots to talk about. This new Premier Lightning Lanes. We have the DVC additional charge, $99 a month. And you get all these additional benefits. We could talk about the new Hungry Bear menu. Where's my chicken sandwich? All kinds of stuff. I mean, too much to talk about. The new Disney Adventure. Do you see all the stuff going on the top deck there? A roller coaster. Let's talk. Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. 5 places you can check the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Nobody ever watches on Twitch, but hey, you could be the first. It's a gaming platform, but we have a button to put us on there, so we do. So come on over. Actually, Scott does sometimes. Anyway, we're out of here. We hope you have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. So for Stephanie out in Idaho, I'm Mike here in Missouri. Make it a great week. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.